it is an absolute pleasure for us to be here. I'm Lola Wilson. This is my colleague.
I'm Farron Convey. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, and we are both from AHEAD Partnership. So just a few words about AHEAD Partnership, because we're a slightly different kind of organisation. We were founded in 2004. We were founded in Leeds, so we share the same city as Leeds University, and we were founded as a result of really a desire, a huge, overwhelming desire from local employers to get involved in activity with young people, and to see their responsibility as organisations and people who had a responsibility to encourage young people, to let them know about the world of work, to give them the most up-to-date information about the skills they would need, not just for successful careers, but for successful lives. Our founder, Stephanie Burris, was moved and surprised by a mentoring program that she did with young ladies at an inner city school in Leeds. And that really was the catalyst for our organisation, because she soon found that there were many employers, public sector and private sector employers, who really wanted to make an impact with young people, to add value to our society, but they didn't know how. So today we don't just operate in Leeds, we operate nationally, and now, thanks to this project, internationally, which is wonderful for us, and it's been a real joy and a real pleasure. We are sort of the main kind of careers work that we do is Yorkshire and West Midlands. Those were our kind of starting points, but we work all the way from Aberdeen down to Ashford, and beyond, and into Wales if they'll let us. So that's the kind of work that we do. We want to provide inspiration, encouragement. We want to empower young people, and the way that we do that is through bringing employers into school where they are, and bringing young people into those organisations as well through all kinds of different activities. So that, have I covered that? So
yes,
yeah. So that's the AHEAD Partnership. So actually, we're a bit naughty today, because we're looking after IO5, and we're going to talk to you about the teacher resources. We weren't the leader for that intellectual output, and that's actually our colleagues in Norway at the Arctic University of Norway, University of Tromsø, who can't be with us because they're in exam period. But as the dissemination partner for this project, we felt it was only right to step up to the plate and represent them and talk about the wonderful intellectual output that they've been leading. So, I only have one slide and one video today, very simple. We're going to talk to IO5 were the video resources for teachers. So in terms of the resources for teachers from this project, it comes in three parts. The teacher guide, which you just heard about from our colleagues from Slovenia, a suite of video resources, but they've also produced, our colleagues in Norway, a guide of reflective exercises to help you get the best out of the video resources. And those are really to provide a trigger as to how you might use the videos in your professional practice. Yes, that's fine. I've already acknowledged. So Gregor and Ingrid, as we said, are colleagues in Norway, and we actually have the European premiere of one, if we can call it that, of one of the videos today, at which point I shall exit into a cupboard, because it is the video that I present. Yeah, there's a cupboard here, perfect. Because it is the video that I present, we thought that was only fair. But all of the project partners were involved in the filming and making of those video resources. So they are a really diverse suite of resources there, with lots of different cultural representation. but we'll talk more about them in a minute. So, the reflective questions are to help you engage with the videos. It is a very short guide, bite-sized, you might say. It's actually only about 4 pages, but the exercises on there are designed for you to examine the videos, to ask your own questions, to recognise the great work that teachers and school staff might already be doing in their practice, and how they can take that a step further. And the beauty of it is you can spend as much time or as little time on those exercises. You don't have to do them in one go. You can come back and revisit them. And so a really helpful guide around this suite of videos. The videos too are designed to be bite-sized and flexible. And there are 2 types of video there. The reason they are short is because, like young people, we all learn differently. So for some people, they might prefer to see all the detail written down in the guide first, and that might be their go-to. For other people, they learn better visually. And so these short videos, they might want to start there and then refer to the guide. But the videos were designed as a companion to the guide that our surveying partners have produced for IO4. The idea of the videos being short and bite-sized too is that they're flexible because we understand the demands of teachers and school staff, particularly now with the ongoing challenges of the pandemic. So they're designed to be short so that, you know, they can be used in the UK, we call it PPE time, so your planning time or your marking time. It might be that you have time carved out for learning and development. So they're easy, again, to pick up and put down as you see fit. And my colleague, after we've shown this first video, my colleague Farron will bring us some suggestions for how these videos might be used to contribute to that whole school approach that our project partners were talking about. So there are 2 different types of videos in the set. So I think there's 11 videos in total as part of the suite. So there are 2 discussion videos with professionals from this project team and teachers in Norway. And those videos are based on some of the crucial roles of teachers that were identified by our research and are elaborated on in the guide. And they are the teacher as role model and relational expert, and teacher as an expert and careers counsellor. And those discussion videos with professionals are really to open that conversation further, again, to open up ideas about what that means for you as a professional working with young people, but also for your whole school or organisation. This is followed by 9 5-minute or 5-6 minute there or thereabout videos, which features each of the subgroups. So each of those case studies and those groups of young people that may be particularly vulnerable to early school leaving, that my colleague talked about there. There is a video, 5-minute video for each of those, and they really present the challenges that those young people may face and our top tips from our research with teachers on how any school staff really, I keep wanting to say teachers, but they really are for anyone who's working with young people, you know, how they may engage those young people in facing those challenges in their professional practice. So I think this is the point where I duck into the cupboard at the back. The video that I presented was on Gypsy Roma traveller communities. It was something I'm personally very passionate about because that is my heritage. And it's very exciting actually to have that representation in this project. And this is not, it's important to say, this is not the subgroups that we have, were not devised by us. In the research that we did with teachers and staff working with young people, we made some suggestions based on other people's research as to what those groups might be, those particularly vulnerable groups that are dropping out of school early. But the teachers in return told us what those groups are. which are the groups that they identify, which are the groups they're used to working with, who have particular challenges when it comes to early school leaving and thinking about their futures. So yeah, so we'll play the video. I hope it's going to play. Oh, and the last thing to say was we did work with a marvellous young man at an organisation in Leeds called Catch, and he is Dominic. He also is of Gypsy Roma traveller background, and he agreed to be featured in the video to offer his first-hand experience and his advice to people working with young people. Do you think it will play online, or do I need to? Do I need to? Yes. Okay.
But it doesn't, yeah.
It does. It does.
Okay.
I forgot about that.
So let me try. Okay. Share. Okay. Include so. Okay. Não? Não está a dar. Speakerphone. Aceder às configurações. Eu não sei ir às configurações do áudio. Ok. Sounds. Ok. Alto-falante. Speakerphone. Let's try this one. I'm definitely no expert. No, not this one. Well, let's try.
We'll try.
Okay, let's try.
We'll try. Excellent. Okay, we hope that it's going to play with sound online. Please don't worry if not, and we really hope it will. But if you're online, obviously these resources will be available very shortly. But yeah, let's give it a whirl.
In this video, we will look at students from Gypsy, Roma or traveller communities and how their teachers can best support them to engage in exploration of their own skills, strengths, preferences and identities, with a focus on how that might inform their vision of their futures in learning, work and life. There are many different types of travelling communities across the globe, each with a deep, rich history of tradition and ways of life that have contributed to society over many centuries. In the UK, for example, the most prominent groups are Irish travellers and Romany gypsies. In Spain, the main community is the Gitano community, with over 1 million members. In France, Germany and Austria, the largest group is the Sinti. Across Europe, the Roma communities have largest numbers in Russia, Bulgaria, Hungary, Turkey and Romania. And in the USA, the two main groups are the Rom and the Romnichals. So when we talk about gypsy or traveller communities and families in this video resource, we're referring to all of these ethnic and self-identified groups, and many more which I've not named here. However, they can all be identified by their nomadism, entrepreneurialism, focus on the extended family, and distinctive languages. It is well researched and documented that traveller, gypsy and Roma people are among the most socially excluded globally. These groups are mainly disadvantaged in accommodation provision, healthcare, education and employment, with lower life expectancy than settled communities. One aspect that many teachers can find difficult and unique to this group is their transient way of life. Some families move home often and without notice, which presents challenges of being able to engage young people long-term with information about skills and careers, and can result in inconsistency in their educational experience. While it is true that many of these communities live permanently on sites or in homes, often they may still travel during the summer months, making it difficult to ensure that young people from these communities receive the same information and support as their classroom peers. Many of these communities and families also have a long tradition of entrepreneurialism, trade, and manual careers, as well as strictly gendered roles within the family structure. Young people may find it difficult to think outside of these roles if they're not given exposure to other options. There is research to show that far higher numbers of traveller, Gypsy and Roma students drop out of school while still compulsory school age, as many parents feel their traditions can be better taught at home, and some young people are relied upon to provide resources for their family.
My name is Dominic Assar. I'm 19 years old, so I'm from the Gypsy Roma community. From some of the people in the community, they value education because it can get them to very far places if they try and believe themselves, but some of them don't value it. Some of them think that they don't need education, they don't need to do certain things to be somewhere in life.
The deep systems of oppression and misunderstanding that traveller, Gypsy and Roma communities have experienced over centuries still has a profound impact on families today. Often the stigma and stereotypes that abound about the people that belong to these communities makes families suspicious of formal government systems such as school. Some may have no experience of public schooling themselves, which in turn makes the system harder for them to navigate without support from teachers and school administrators. These can all contribute to making parents feel less engaged in conversations with school staff about their children. We have outlined some of the challenges traveller, Gypsy and Roma young people face and that you may have encountered in your own classroom. Here are our top tips for supporting these students when it comes to helping them think about their futures. Be resilient in your messages to these young people whenever you have contact with them. You might be aware that a student is planning to drop out of school, as it may be a trend in their family or community, or you may get no notice at all. But continuing to have conversations and give encouragement in the time you do have, and repeating that consistent message is extremely valuable and meaningful to these students.
I think if teachers could encourage them to push themselves and try new different things, I think that would help them a lot and maybe believe in them as well.
As discussed, many of these groups have an established history and tradition of specific trades, but they also have a strong cultural influence on areas like art, music and performance. You can help these young people to be proud, celebrate and really examine the transferable nature of the skills they have already acquired in life and help to spark ideas about related jobs simply by talking about them.
Not to judge, don't judge them, because each set of kids have different types of skills. Some people may not know how to do certain things, and be quite lenient with them because not all of them will understand very quickly, but they'll eventually get there. But I would say yes, to be judgmental.
Traveller, Gypsy and Roma people have historically faced a barrage of negative and classist opinion about their traditions and ways of life. Turn these parts of their heritage into positive conversation starters about the types of jobs they already know about. Take it a stage further by helping them move their exploration onto related careers and qualifications. You will find that most of your traveller, Gypsy and Roma students have a wealth of experience in a number of fields that they can easily build on when encouraged to talk about them in a non-judgmental and positive way. Your staff and students may benefit from specialist training to understand these communities in your school or college. There are many charities across Europe that offer this help and support, some of which are signposted in our associated Design My Future Teacher's Guide. Some of your students may come from a family where literacy levels are lower and where there is no experience of formal schooling. Instead of relying on the student to interpret for their parents, why not arrange an interpreter via telephone? Instead of insisting that meetings take place at school, consider arranging a home visit in line with your school's policies. In my home city of Leeds in the UK, some schools have started an informal coffee morning to invite parents from travelling communities into school to better understand the support they can offer. All parents are invested and concerned with their child's future, so giving them the opportunity to hear some of the conversations you've had with their child about their vision of the future will be met with enthusiasm. Try to use a diverse range of people when reflecting what success looks like. Presenting young people with role models from homogenous backgrounds, ethnicities, and heritages is limited in its effectiveness. In 2015, the European Roma Information Office produced a wonderful resource called Roma Role Models, which has interviews with a number of highly successful Roma people from across Europe. You can find a link to this document in the Design My Future Teacher Guide for use in your work.
Thank you, Lola. As I said, I'm Farron Convey, Project Manager at Head Partnership. Also, thank you to Dom, one of my fellow volunteers at Catch, which is a youth charity in Hare Hills in Leeds. We did show that we gave a sneak preview of this video last week at the UK Multiplier event with our fellow partners in the Leeds Learning Alliance Carmanor Community School. So at this point, we're going to acknowledge some of the suggestions that we're about to make to you because they very much inform those suggestions. So hopefully that video got you thinking, and we hope that you found it informative. You might now be considering ways that you could use these resources. So we're just going to give you a few suggestions. You could use these resources at teacher training days. So perhaps each term or each year, you'll have days where you come together as a school community and look at ways that you can improve your practice. And we think these could be used as case studies and hopefully the beginning of some conversations. You could also use them in individual coaching sessions. So maybe as a school community, you get together with your students, as Carmanor Community School do. They have a through school approach to coaching, and perhaps these could be used to inspire yourselves, but also inspire your fellow students. Perhaps they could be used in new colleague inductions. So that could be new colleagues that are joining your school community, perhaps new to education or early on in their careers, or they might be new to your school, and some of the challenges that the students face within these characterizations that we've classified, it could give them ideas for a new approach. You could use these we very much recommend that you use these in a whole school training approach, as our Slovenian colleagues talked about earlier on, to include all staff, so to include janitors, to include teaching assistants, to include catering staff, IT technicians, everybody that comes into contact with and works with you on educating children. So we very much hope that these videos will provide you with some ideas, some inspiration and support when you're working with your young people on a daily basis. So thank you very much. And we will now hand over to
Coffee break.
Coffee break, yeah.
We'll now hand over to Nesta.